I was laughing. I was thinking about Rookie of the Year and how they gave it to Scotty Barnes.
Yep.
I was thinking of all the people saying how, oh, well, Evan Mobley's better than Cade Cunningham. So Bleacher Report came out with the list, and it was ranking the top 5 players out of the 2021 NBA draft class. Guess who was number fucking 1? Cade Cunningham.
It was incredible, too. I think this is the article that was written by Andy Bailey. And Andy Bailey, he knows basketball, man. Former college player. I think he just highlights as a Bleacher Report writer, and he puts out great content. And yeah, he has been a Cade Cunningham supporter for a while now, so I'm really not surprised. But this list, dude, Evan Mobley, number 2, Josh Giddey, number 3, Franz Wagner, number 4, and then Scotty Barnes, number 5. Jalen Green, not on the list, which I know Houston fans hate. But, dude, I mean, it's hard for me to really say anything. The dude hit the nail on the head, and I think Cade Cunningham does have the highest potential because no knock to the other players. He really does have a two-way game. He can get it done offensively. And again, he's probably not going to be a defensive player of the year candidate, but he is still going to be a solid defender in the NBA. He can stay in front of other guards. Some other accounts have highlighted this. He rarely gets beat. He's not going to get into foul trouble defensively. He's just a smart player. And again, I'm glad he's being acknowledged as the guy with the highest potential from his class finally, because there were other accounts that had him out of the top 5, that had him lower. I mean, I saw an account that was saying Austin Reeves, no offense to him, was a better player than Cade Cunningham. And blows my mind, man. Blows my mind.
That's Laker bias 101, man. I saw a post. So we'll get back to this top 5 in a minute. Like, Austin Reeves is the best undrafted player. I was like, hold on.
Do we forget about Ben Wallace? He's in the Hall of Fame. Are you kidding me? It's unreal.
Like, come on. So I think, Cade being number 1 in this list, absolutely love that. Makes the Rookie of the Year validation.
Yep.
For Pistons fans, like, yeah, we got the best player. We already knew that. To Evan Mobley, I don't really have a problem with that. I think he's a player that has the potential to be a defensive player of the year. He has all the tools to be a great defensive anchor. Josh Giddey, number 3. This is what I'll say. OKC, to me, when they drafted him, when I was at a draft party, there were so many people saying, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And he's top 3 in this list from Bleacher Report, and he's one of the better players out of his draft class. Seems like every time I look, the guy's flirting with a triple-double. He just has a really sound basketball game. Franz Wagner, who I know a lot of people in the state of Michigan are familiar with, top 4. I think he has a really great game. I think him and Paolo really fit well next to each other. And I have no problems with him being a top 4 player in this list because I think he does play on both ends of the court. Scotty Barnes, number 5. To me, I think defensively, we know what's there with him. We know that he can switch on anything. He's just a nightmare to go up against defensively. He's a good passer, but I think what limits him right now is the shooting and his inability to hit jump shots consistently. But if he was more of a consistent player, I'm sorry, dude, he would be number 2 behind Cade Cunningham.
I was going to say,
if he had a consistent jump shot, he would be right there with Cade Cunningham.
And that's why you put him in the top 5, because if he can get that jump shot, that is the biggest question mark of his game right now, Scotty Barnes, just that jump shot. I would actually move Franz Wagner a little bit higher based on what we've seen. I would not have complained if they put him at number 2, because he is a very good offensive player. He's a very good defensive player. You're looking at a guy that he looks like he could defend positions 1 through 4 right now in the NBA, because he's 6'10". He has great timing. He has quick hands. He knows how to stay in front of guys. He's like, I seen the Hito Turkoglu comparisons, and I get that offensively, but I think he's a step above. Just I think he's a little more athletic than Hito, and Hito was a fantastic player, but I think Franz is one of these guys that could get you 23, 7, 5 with a steal or two a game and a block while shooting great percentages. He seems like he's going to be a legit two-way player in the NBA. And I think he's shown more of a complete game than Evan Mobley right now. I get why you have Evan Mobley at number 2 because he could be a potential defensive player of the year winner, not just a candidate, but he hasn't really shown much offensively. And I don't think he's ever going to be that offensive franchise player you want from a top 3 pick, which is what was he number 3 or was he number 4? I can't believe I'm forgetting that. I think
Evan Mobley.
Yeah.
He was 3 behind Jalen Green.
And then Scotty Barnes was number 4. That's right. Yeah, I think there's still just a little bit of a question mark from him offensively. Like, he's not a guy. I feel like the rest of these guys, like, Cade, Giddey, and Franz right now, you can give them a ball and they can go out and get you a bucket. And I feel like with Evan Mobley and Scotty Barnes, that's the thing that's missing from their games. But it's still a good list. I mean, it's really hard to argue with the order that they're in too.
Yeah, I just love that Cade was 1 and Scotty was 5.
Yeah,
that just kind of validates it. The Rookie of the Year stuff was kind of like, I don't know. Like, I thought Evan Mobley was going to win it for the longest time because that was kind of like the narrative. Like, the media was just like, Evan Mobley this, Evan Mobley that, and then like over like the last month of the season, it's like, oh no, we like Scotty Barnes now. It's just like, okay, that's kind of weird.
But I mean, because Scotty Barnes is playing in a role with Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam, and yeah, that's why he's Rookie of the Year. You're like, doesn't make any sense. Like, because I mean, if he was in a different role on any other team, he would. I mean, I think he shot really great percentages too that season. But again, he was out of all of these guys, he was probably on the best team that year. Out of the guys drafted in the top 4, he had the best team he was going to.
Yeah, good situation.
Yep. It's hard to argue. Is there any other player you would put on this list, though?
I feel like you could put Jalen Green on this list just for the type of scorer that I think he's going to be. But when I look at this list, every guy on this list can impact the game, and they don't need to score the basketball to impact the game. I think Jalen Green, to me, he's easily going to be a 30-point per game scorer in his career. I think he has all the tools to do that, but I think on the defensive end, that's where he needs to get better. And I think even a Rockets fan will tell you that. I think he's a good passer. He can score at all 3 levels. It's just defensively, he's not as good as a defender as a Cade, as a Franz, as a Scotty Barnes. And I think that's why he was just an honorable mention and he wasn't on the list.
Yeah, he's more one-dimensional compared to the other guys. He's more of an offensive player than a two-way player right now in his career. But I don't know. Like, I mean, there's something to be said about a guy that could go out and get you 25 or 30. We'll see if he does it. But, yeah, Jalen Green. I'm looking at the list right now, and I'm honestly really shocked they didn't throw, like, Trey Murphy on this list, because I feel like that would have been a Bleacher. Because for some reason, I feel like they love the New Orleans Hornets. They're like, yeah, Trey Murphy has the potential, I mean, I wouldn't have been pissed, but I'm glad that they stuck with guys that were drafted in the top 10. I mean, Sengun, I wouldn't have complained about either because he's such a gifted offensive player, man. It's unreal. But yeah, that's pretty much the other 2. Those are probably the only 3 names I think you could have like potentially thrown on the list and people wouldn't have complained as much. But it is nice to see Cade Cunningham coming in at number 1 because again, we all knew what we were watching in Detroit. We all knew it.